Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/teacherrecharge. Over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. My name is Fred Kep. I'm not sure how many people I just offended with that terrible accent, but I'm ready for the show. Happy Monday. Let's get it poppin'. Bom dia, how's it going, everybody? Happy Monday. It is week 9 of the podcast. Woohoo! Persistence. All right, yeah. If I can make it to week 9 of a podcast devoted to teachers, you can make it through week 9 of your school year. I have a guest on the show that's going to make that even easier today. His name is Daniel Gomez. He's the founder of Daniel Gomez Enterprises. That is a company devoted to developing and strengthening organizations and individuals. He's a dynamic John Maxwell Certified Speaker with 14 years of experience in the arena of leadership development, sales, training, and coaching. He's the author of a book. It's You Were Born to Fly. And it was written to inspire and give people the confidence they need to live an extraordinary life. Now, that book just dropped on Amazon, and it was a #1 bestseller. So, it is going to be a fantastic episode full of energy. He has tons of energy and enthusiasm, which he uses to capture the audience, blah, 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 all that good stuff. You're going to hear it here in just a sec. So, you know what? Enough of me talking. Enjoy the show. Here you go. Boom. All right, so today on the show, we have none other than Daniel Gomez. Daniel, where are you coming to us from?
I'm coming to you from San Antonio, Texas, the big state of Texas.
San Antonio. I love San Antonio, man. I'm originally from Odessa, Texas.
Oh, you know what? It's funny you say Odessa because God put it in my heart whenever I post anything on Instagram or Twitter, I've been putting hashtag Odessa, hashtag Midland because my goal is to win the state of Texas over.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, man. So have you been to Odessa?
You know, I've never been to Odessa, but of course, everybody knows about Odessa Permia, just a movie from Friday Night. For those that don't know football here in this high school football in the state of Texas is huge. For those of y'all hearing and don't realize that, so Odessa Permia, where Fred's from, they were the state champions several years in a row. So I
actually went to the Odessa High School, which is about 50 years older than Odessa Permian, and we do not like each other at all. There's a huge rivalry there, yeah, and they don't talk about that in the little movie. So take that, Permian. Anyways, no. If you've ever seen this thing on Earth, it's called a dirt. Then you've seen Odessa. But anyways, hey, it's great to have you. The way we start every episode is I just want to ask you, what are some rituals and what is one way you like to start your week, like to get it popping?
Well, you know, it's kind of ironic you say that because by the grace of God, my book came out, You Were Born to Fly. And chapter 10 is called Win the Morning. And when you win the morning, you win the whole day. And I believe that most people, they wake up in autopilot and they're not intentional about winning the morning, Fred. They just kind of wake up, brush your teeth, and they don't really plan anything. And you have to put it this way. You have to be intentional about winning the morning. And what I mean intentional about it is you have to wake up and for my morning routine, I got to be up by 4:00, right? That's my wake up time. So I give myself an hour to wake up. So I wake up from 4 to 5. I try to read something or stay in prayer. By 5:30, I need to be at Gold's Gym. So when I get back from Gold's Gym at 6:30 in the morning, I have another 45 minutes to spend on social media. And then from 8 to 8:30, I read something at least 30 minutes. Let me put it this way. I before last year, I would read a book maybe every year or 2 years at the most, Fred. Mm-hmm. But I believe you have to read at least 10 minutes of any content just to stimulate your mind and to get you thinking in the right way. And most people don't do that. They just, if you don't put it this way, if you put nothing in your brain, weeds are going to grow in your brain.
Yeah.
But most people, what they do, this is what they do. They wake up, they drink their coffee, they eat donuts, and then they watch news, which is negative. And guess what that news does to you? It junk in, junk out. That's what happens.
Yeah, that's a really interesting take on that. I I agree. I agree with the reading. I will say I am not good at that, and it's not that I'm not good at reading. I learned how to read a long time ago. I promise everybody listening to this dumb thing. I can't read. I definitely can read. I just don't do it as much. There's this other thing. It's called YouTube, and I just get on that way too much.
So when I wake up, whether it's 4:15, I wake up and you have to put your phone away from you, Fred. You really do. Whether it's your phone or your tablet, it needs to be at least 15 to 20 feet away from you. If you leave it on your nightstand or your desk right next to you, you're going to grab it just by habit. And you need to force yourself to leave it in your bathroom, and that way you don't see it. Because as soon as that little light goes on, guess what? Instead of being in proactive mode, guess what mode you're in, Fred?
Reactive?
You're reactive. So just think about this. By that phone controlling you all day, guess what state you're in?
Reactive.
Reactive.
Yeah. Wow. Wow, that's a really good take on it. Especially now that I'm thinking about just like how the last few weeks have gone. That is so true. And I think what that does is, I think that's the point you're trying to make, is that your phone begins to like control what you do and why you do it. I don't know if that's how life should be.
No, think about it. The phone was created for us to control and use the phone as a tool or to communicate. But guess what now? It's sad. We're talking about phones, but it's sad. I go to a lunch meeting with some clients or just with some friends or even a family, and even at lunchtime, you walk in there and you got 4 people. You see their logo there from their company, and guess what? None of them are communicating. Guess where everybody's looking down?
at the screen, yeah.
Everybody's looking down.
I think it was our cross country team at the high school I coach at posted a tweet the other day, and it was like from a team get together that they were having, and the caption was what high schoolers do at a team get together, and it was literally like 10 of the team members, and they were all looking at their phone, and it was just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, but we're laughing about it, but it's a serious issue. Let me tell you why. Just think about this. And I wonder how lawyers use this in court now, because if you have an eyewitness, are they really an eyewitness now?
Ooh.
Think about that one.
Yeah, for real.
Because I've been in situations at a dealership that I'm training at, or a business that I'm training at or coaching at, and somebody walks in and they walk in the door looking down at the phone, and somebody walks out and they don't even acknowledge this person. And so I would say any eyewitness you have, there's a discredit there because everybody's looking at their darn phones. Something to seriously think about, though. If there's a lawyer listening to this, or even if say teachers, right? Say teachers will say, well, if a student says, well, I saw it, did they really see it?
Probably not. Oh my gosh. That's a really good point, though, to be fair. Next question I wanted to ask is that what is something that you do that others don't, that maybe like teachers can take into their own classrooms maybe?
You need to be focused on the good as soon as you wake up. There's enough negative stuff out there. And this is what happens, Fred, is they focus 80% on what's wrong instead of focusing on 80% of what's right. So if you focus on 80%, if just from the moment you wake up, you find something to be grateful for, something to be thankful for, and really just feel it in your heart and say, I'm thankful that I have this house I can live in. I'm thankful that I have this hot water to bathe in. I'm thankful that I have food to eat, and I'm thankful for my children. I did a live video yesterday, and I challenged the parents, instead of waking up and telling your kids to make your bed, tell the kids to hurry up and get your chores done in the morning. Why don't you just wake them up and give them a hug and show your children love? And I think when you focus on the good, when you see the good in your situation, well, then as a teacher, you focus on the good in your students instead of focusing on the bad, because there's enough bad out there.
My 7th grade, 8th grade, and 9th grade student council teacher, she made us write. Well, at first it was she made us write, and then it was like I got to write. I don't know, it kind of changed, but the first year it was kind of a hassle, but she would have us write letters to everybody in the class saying just words of affirmation about them. And she said, look, if you can't find something positive about someone, then you need to look harder. You need to really think about who you're talking to and what they are as a human, because everybody has a positive, no matter how annoying they are, no matter how horrible they've been to you. somebody somewhere inside of them has a positive. And she told a story about a student that she had some problems with, as far as like the student would always backtalk. Student kind of wasn't from the best home, but so kind of came to class just really disheveled. And she said, because she wrote letters too, and that's something I've always kind of believed in, is like, if you're gonna have your students do it, you should be willing to do it as well. Like, you should never ask your students to do something that you wouldn't do yourself.
Well, you know what? I would beg to say that most teachers don't know exactly what me and you're going to talk about. They've probably, I would say maybe 1% to 2% have heard of this.
Yeah.
And you have to understand that, first of all, our approach should be, we love the student, we just don't like the things they do. And I think when you separate the two, it's easier to understand, because you said something profound there that triggered a thought in my head, is their upbringing, right? And you have to remember, teachers need to remember, educators need to remember that student was programmed from the day he was born to the age of 6. He already has his beliefs. He already has pretty much a big part of his mindset, of his belief system is already in place, right? His BS. And unfortunately, if he's in an environment where that's what he was taught, well, it's not the child's fault. As educators, we need to see that. And what I want to talk to you about is the rule of 151. What the rule of 151 says is that, think about this, Fred. If you as a student, if you've been told your whole life, you never clean your room right, you never do anything right, can't you do anything right? What do you think that does to a student, Fred?
That demolishes their confidence.
Well, that's exactly what happens is children, their self-confidence goes away. Right. So think about that, right? So just role play with me. Just think your whole life, Fred, you've been told that you never do anything right and you're never going to amount to anything in your life. What grade do you teach, Fred, as a soccer coach?
High schoolers.
Okay, so say for the first 14 to 15 years of your life, you've been told that. So what do you believe? You believe that. You believe that you're never going to amount to anything. You're never going to do anything right. Well, then Coach Fred comes along that really loves his students and really tries to make a difference. But this is where the kicker is. The rule of 151, this is in my book. The rule of 151 says a person needs to hear, let me read this to you. Marshall Hoke, author of Step-by-Step Business Blueprint, shares in the rule of 151. She shares that it takes 151 times to say something for someone to believe it and before it enters their conscious mind. So listen to this part, Fred. The first 50 times people don't hear you. The second 50 times, they don't understand you. The third 50 times, they don't believe you, Fred. And it's not until they've heard it for the 151st time that they finally hear, understand, and think this must be true.
Yeah. Wow.
But okay, so the rule of 151. So just think about that. So as a teacher, you have a child that doesn't have the confidence, like you said, that they need. So let's break it up into the school year now, right? So it says the first 50 times people don't hear you. So how many days are in a month?
30. Let's say 30.
Okay. So you have 30 days. So you figure with Saturday and Sunday, there's probably like 26 school days within a month.
Yeah, right.
So by the second month, just say at the end of the second month of the school year that just started, the teacher's already frustrated because the student is not hearing what the message is. And rightfully so, right? Because guess what? The rule of 151 in my book says the first 50 times people don't hear you. But in time-wise, 50 times could be 2 months. The first 100 times it could be 4 months. And usually by the 90 days, that say you're an employer of a corporation, you're the one hiring. Well, guess what? This employee is not performing up to par. So you have 90 days. If not, they boot you a lot of times. So think about that one. So 90 days, well, guess what? The first, at the second 50 times, they don't even understand it.
Right.
So that's pretty powerful stuff.
That's really, I don't think I've ever heard that before, but I like that take on it. Well, with that said, it's a fantastic start to the episode. We're going to take a real quick break, thank a sponsor, and we will be right back. For you, the listeners of the Teacher Recharge podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. Now, every time I have a guest on the show, I ask them for a recommendation. So, Danielle Gomez, what is your recommendation for an audiobook?
I would definitely download the Audible Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Think and Grow Rich.
Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. You can get that book, or you can get any of the 180,000 other titles they have to choose from for your iPod, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. All you have to do is just go to www.audibletrial.com/teacher-recharge. Once again, that is www.audibletrial.com/teacher-recharge. Get your free audiobook and your 30-day free trial today. And we're back with Daniel Gomez. He is here, and after we come back from break, we always go into, watch out, Daniel, it's going to get crazy, story time!
I love it. I love it.
Way better than it was in the last interview that I had. So, it is time for some story time. I'm going to give you the floor. Give us your best story. It could be funny, it could be sad, it could be uplifting, whatever you want. Hit us with it.
The best story, huh? The best story. I would have to say my best story would be this: going to school with my kids, and we go up this hill from my house to the elementary school where they attended. It's a big hill, and my son would go up this hill, and he would be so upset. Granted, he was in kindergarten because he couldn't ride his bike up the hill. And as we were going up the hill, I said, well, just walk it. He goes, no, I don't want to walk it. I want to ride it up the hill. So he goes, Dad, I don't think I can do it. And I said, Jay, you got this, son. And the quote that I used on him, because I've always been a quotes person, and I said, you know what, Jay, a winner never quits and a quitter never wins. And he goes, what? I said, yeah, Jay, a quitter never wins and a winner never quits. And he goes, Dad, that's crazy. So he went back down the hill, and I tell you the truth, he went back down the hill, and he goes, you know what? I'm going to say this like the little engine did it. I said, okay, do it. And he said this in his mind, and struggling, shaking, coming up this hill, and it's a pretty big little hill for a kindergartner. He made it up the hill, and he was like, Dad, I did it. And just the face that he made, it was priceless. Yeah. And at that moment, I realized, Fred, that mind over matter can always win.
Definitely. That is awesome. In fact, that goes really well with, I'm a big advocate. I don't think a lot of coaches really understand. We were actually talking about this, you and I, just before the break, about if someone tells you like, oh, like, you're not good enough, you haven't done this, how it can affect, and you would asked me like how would that have affected your kids like as soccer players or whatever, and that got me thinking about, we played a team, one of my little girl teams that I coach, we played, so we're talking like 8-year-olds. Actually, the team we played was 11-year-olds, or a group of 11-year-olds, and they had 2 coaches that the entire game were standing up and screaming at them, just berating them. Like, oh, that pass wasn't good enough. You have to get up. Come on. I need to see skill. All this stuff. Meanwhile, I'm a coach that firmly believes if I take care of what I need to in practice, like, I should just be able to sit back and relax and enjoy my team beating the crap out of somebody. So I'm just chilling on the sideline, and like, these coaches are just livid. They're just like screaming, and it's like, my thought isn't initially like, oh, that's bad coaching. My thought is initially like, oh my gosh, these poor girls. Like, this isn't good for their psyche. You know, this isn't good for their future. Because I'm one that thinks about that, the future, especially with that younger ages. I mean, even with my high school boys though as well. Is like, if I go in and I tell my high school boys they're terrible, they're going to believe it. But if I go in and I keep telling them, and that's where I think that rule of 151 that you were talking about comes in, and has helped me even today just kind of think about it, is like, there's been a culture around that school for a long time that, you know, they get to a certain point in playoffs and like, that's as far as they can go, even though they have probably some of the best talent in Kansas. And so I've just been telling them constantly the whole year, like, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. And it's been frustrating because they'll go in against the team that they usually struggle with, and they'll continue to struggle with it. Now that you mentioned that rule, like, it kind of makes sense, because I don't know, 151 is that's a long time. You know, that could be over the course, like you said, of 2 months, 4 months. You know?
Actually, if you break it down, say 26 working days in a month, you're talking about 6 to 7 months before they actually start to hear it, and it's not until the 151 that they actually believe it. So yeah, there is a time lapse there.
Yeah, exactly, and that is not during the season, since the season is only like 3 months. But what I think, that story that you that story that you just said kind of proves is that there is this thing that, and I keep telling them about this too, like there's this thing called sports psychology, and it can be used in life as well, but it is so imperative that the words we say to ourselves are positive. I had this thing in college when I was playing soccer, where every time I would miss a shot, I usually would like cuss myself out, just being honest. And after a while, I started to feel just horrible about my life. I kind of had some depression going on. And so I started looking into some sports psychology stuff and started looking into some stuff just on my own. And I made like a personal contract with myself that every single time I would miss it, or any time I would say something negative on the field, I would follow it up with 2 positives. And I stuck to that. And my game got better. My attitude got better, and just everything around it. Like my grades got better, everything got better. And it's just from that little change of like, look, I'm being super negative. I got to call myself out on that. Now let's change it to a positive, and boom, things just change. You manifest your own success kind of thing.
And you do. People don't realize, I could talk about this subject forever, but I know we don't have forever. But the main thing is this: your tongue speaks life or death. And when you curse yourself, you really curse yourself, because not only do you say that to yourself, but you send out that vibration, that frequency, that energy out into the universe, out into the world, and guess what comes back to you? That negativity. And it's you're 100% right. A lot of times, and you know what the sad part about it is that most people don't realize that they're doing it, Fred. So since they don't realize it, what happens is they continue doing it because they don't have the self-awareness of it. That makes sense?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, that's what was happening to me until I finally like put my foot down and said, look, I have to make a change here because this is getting bad. It sounds crazy because all of this stuff sounds really corny. You know what I mean? Like it all sounds super corny, super like it's not going to work. But then you try it, like it's kind of like broccoli. Like you can't judge it until you actually try it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, but you know, it's proven scientifically now that, you know, and in the book of Think and Grow Rich, actually, this goes back to the 1920s, 1930s when the book came out, Think and Grow Rich. They talked about it was called autosuggestion, and the way to retrain your subconscious mind is through autosuggestion. Now it has so many names. We can call it. Tony Robbins calls it incantations. People call them affirmations, positive self-talk. But it's all one and the same. But the beauty of it comes is there's science behind it that says it does make a difference. Because if whatever you focus on, where your energy flows, put it this way. One of my sayings is, where your focus goes, your energy flows.
Right.
That's a quote from Tony Robbins. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. So if you focus on the wrong thing, guess where it's going to go? To the wrong thing.
Exactly. Well, hey, that was a fantastic episode. I really appreciate you coming on. If people want to find you, where can they find you? I believe you have a book coming out too. So what is that?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it's on Amazon already. The book is called You Were Born to Fly. You Were Born to Fly. If the hard copy is already there, available for purchase on Amazon, and the ebook is available for pre-order. It's only 99 cents. It's the best 99 cents you're going to ever spend on yourself. The Rule of 151 is in the book that we just talked about, and there's even a chapter there on affirmations and speaking life over your own life. Like you said, it made a difference in your life. So if you go to Amazon, you can look it up, Daniel Gomez, You Were Born to Life. And you go to my website, DanielGomezSpeaker.com. That's Daniel Gomez Speaker, SPEAKER.com. And you can just contact me through there. And one thing that I love to do is really help people out. You know, I'm a confidence coach there, Fred. So I'm giving away for being any teacher that needs help or guidance. They get a free session for listening to your podcast. And it's complimentary because, you know, a lot of times what happens is they lose their confidence, Fred. And once you lose your confidence, I don't care what industry you're in, if you're a teacher, if you're a leader of a small business or a 500 company, Fortune 500, once you lose your confidence, that's it. And even you know that in sports, when you lose your confidence playing soccer, you're done. So it's a complimentary gift for me being on your podcast. My Facebook is at Daniel Gomez Inspires.com, at Daniel Gomez Inspires.com. So those are 2 ways to get a hold of me, is on Facebook or through my website, DanielGomezSpeaker.com. Definitely and if I could say a word to all the teachers out there, I just want you to know my sister's a teacher, principal now. She went back for her master's, and I really want your teachers to hear this message. You really matter. Teachers matter. And if you're feeling burnt out, out there, I want you to know that all it takes is one person, one teacher to impact and change not just a student, but to start a movement. And you know what? I want to tell the teachers out there that they're valuable, that you're loved, and don't give up on yourself. Because just when you think there's no more value or you have nothing else to give, there's another level inside of you. You just got to tap into it.
Yes, wonderful. Yeah, we will provide links in the description for all of those links that he just said in that free complimentary coaching session. That would be awesome. You should definitely take advantage of that. That is a fantastic offer. Well, we appreciate you coming. If you want to suggest someone for this podcast, or if you yourself would be great on this podcast, you can go and email us at teacherrechargepodcast@gmail.com. Once again, that is teacherrechargepodcast@gmail.com. I'd love to hear suggestions for people that we should have on the show, suggestions for topics we should cover, any questions you have. I'd love to hear them. Anything like that, hit it up. And if you want to check out my website, you can go to fredmotivates.com. You can also follow this podcast there as well. Well, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Monday. Remember, keep going, reach the top of your hill. Thank you, Daniel, for coming. It was a pleasure.
It was a blast. Thank you so much for having me on, Fred. And you know what? I loved it. So thank you so much, my friend.